Yeah. Yeah. It's the I. Yeah. No, it was the A, yeah? Yeah. 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 Do it well. Then it's the I. Yeah. And then it is the T. Yeah. Yeah. Finally we have the full stop. You. Wow. So you have. Suresh, I'm going to finish in 20 minutes. So I'll be sharing the Indian experience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the presentation which I am doing probably would have already taken up back your attention in a quite a different way. After attending an excellent expose by Mr. Hassan, I think I am taking you to a very different side of the world. Initially, I thank the sponsors and the organizers for giving me this opportunity to come here and talk to you. Actually, I am especially thankful to Bhagwan Pai, to John Bruni, who have made it possible for me to come here and talk to you. Now, my presentation will be starting what I am doing, to whom I am attached with, what we do. Then I try to have more possibility concentration on socio-cultural aspect of the society in which milk is produced, and what is the reference and relevance of milk to society and the culture itself, and finally some sort of government approach for the production of milk. This is the situation what we have in the local area, which is common almost in African countries as well as in Asian countries. You have a sort of barren land, seasonal agriculture. This is the demographic situation of the country. You have education less than 60%. You have the sort of lot of dependence on agriculture, lot of rural habitation, and this explains the situation of the potential for development as well as the limitations in implementing any program. Based on this, actually, Mahatma Gandhi, who was considered to be a sort of father of India, who probably gave a direction to the society for having a sort of livelihood approach, based on which his disciple established an organization basically with an intention to have a gainful self-employment with sustainable livelihood, then enriched environment, improved quality of life and good human values. These were the basics on which probably the organization was started in 1967. It is an ONG. The focus probably is a farming family, using natural resources which are already available like land, water, vegetation, and the four things which probably are used as a sort of inputs based on which different activities were developed, and these activities normally are available to the rural families for achieving the goals which were indicated earlier. Now you find the outer circle, these are goals, and the centralized is the family structure. You have the sort of approach which has been defined. Now in an operational area which we have presently, the limitations which we see are probably the agricultural source of living. You have the small holding. The holding per family is average 0.0 hectare. Now, this absolutely is very small, and you can imagine the amount of population and the land limitations which are available, on which the people are trying to make their livelihood. Then the rainfall agriculture system, so a lot of period of the year normally the land can be sort of non-productive. Then we have migration for livelihood. Obviously we find that in an area when the agriculture crop is over and there is no sufficient food available, people migrate for livelihood. Then average family size 5. Then literacy rate less than 60% in women, and certain access to credit constraints. You get less money for having their livelihood, for taking up any livelihood activity. Now, based on these programs were developed, and you find the different types of programs which we have. Where we have the livelihood approach, the environment approach, then we have the women strengthening approach, we have the tribal development also, and we have community approach. Now each of this approach has different activities you find, and these are the activities you have been taken. So it is an attempt to have an integrated approach to the family so that we can have a hand-holding type to make them stand on their own feet and try to work on them. It is specifically to note that such programs are not free available. People pay for such programs, but we ensure that what they gain is much more than what they pay. As a spread of the organization, you see that we are almost spread all over the country, and the types of programs differ in different states. 80% of it is a milk production program actually, milk enhancement program. Otherwise, we have a sort of, depending on the location, we have water management creation programs, agriculture enrichment program, a social development program, horticulture program, social forestry program, tribal development program, human education program. All sorts of those programs are integrated depending on the need and depending on the location facilities available and depending on the sponsors who probably want to have a sort of social development approach. We have a station where actually the technologies are scouted, that means they are searched on, they are worked on. Adoption and adaptation of the research methodology for suiting to input development programs are being worked out. And then also we have capacity building, and each of these activities, you have detailed activities which have been indicated, which takes up a global approach to the development. Coming to livestock milk production program itself, we were first in the country to take the program to farmer door. Till such time, probably the program was at a station, people had to go with their cattle and animals for getting them inseminated, etc. We had a model taking a motorcycle, the insemination at door. The approach is that we have a cluster of 10 to 12 villages, about 2,000 to 3,000 animals. Man is mobile, he goes to the door of the farmer and provides services. And if you see the scope of services which are being available, they are right from breeding to sort of feeding advice, training, etc. And that covers almost a lot of package except the curative aspect which we have left it to the government institution to cater to. These are the low yielding animals which are locally, as was indicated, hardly giving half a liter of milk or a liter of milk, and we try to have sort of artificial insemination technology giving sort of producing of crossbred animal and inseminating them, giving more milk, and you find that improved animal normally requires two people to sit on two sides and milking simultaneously. Still at village level, machine milking are not very popular because of the holding of the family. It is to mention that nearly 85 to 87% of farming families have 1 to 2 animals in our program. About 10 to 12% families have 5 to 10 animals, and hardly 2 to 3% have more than 20 animals. So you can imagine the very small size of the herds on which the program is being implemented. We are spread up in, for livestock program, we are spread up in 12 states, having about clusters of 3,296, each cluster having about 15 villages. We cover about 90,000 villages, about 3.4 million families, and nearly more than 6 million animals. This is in general what organizational setup we have, and we try to work on a sort of a national base. Now coming to milk, what we have been discussing last 2 days is basically milk as a commodity. But what we feel milk as a culture with us, and I need to explain more of that as a sort of human approach, the livelihood approach and the philosophical approach to the living style. Just as we have a sort of living principle defined in Quran, for example, in Bible, for example, we have such philosophy explained through 4 Vedas in India, and each Veda trying to tackle a different sphere of activities. For example, it is the sun which is worshipped by in one part of the Veda, the fire in other part of Veda, then music and related activities in third part of the Veda, and sort of magic and sort of techniques of some different things to be explained through other Vedas. Now this scope and all these Vedas are converted into 2 epics mainly, which are called Mahabharata and Ramayana. Now the need of telling this all has something to do with the milk which are coming to. Now 5,000 years back, there has been a mention in literature that cows were of 6 types. Now the cow, which depending on the size, depending on the nature, depending on the type of milk, depending on the behavior, the animals classified into 6 classes which have been mentioned as early as 5,000 years back. Now, yesterday it was indicated that in Egypt, you have a sort of excavations and old pictures some 2,000 years back. Similar 5,000 years back in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, there are carvings of the animals, mainly zebu as well as taurus. Both animals we have the pictures of the animal. Coming back to about 2,500 years back, the methodology of animal and milk production was established. The Charaka was one of the individuals who defined what species routinely milk should be used. For example, she has indicated that cow, buffalo, then horse, camel, elephant, sheep, goat and mother. These are the milks routinely human being can use. And non-cattle milk and non-other milk which were indicated yesterday by Bernard Fay actually are the ones which are used for medicinal purposes. There have been the milk used for from donkey, then from tiger, and even today the elephant's milk is being used for treating to the schizophrenia, that is mental distress like things, even today, being in southern part of the country, Kerala. Another person who was an economist, Politiques, he defined how the animal population be controlled. For example, the herd size at that time was from 1,000 animals to 10 million animals. Now he classified different types of herds and there have been names given. For example, the herd size of 4 million animals, 0.5 million animals was called as Inde. The person was holding that. So titles were given depending on the number of animals. And some of you probably who might be knowing a character of Mahabharata, Lord Krishna, his father was having a herd of 10 million animals. At that time, the methodology was established. The model of how to rear the animals was also given. That what part of fraction of products, milk to be given to village chief, to the king, what sort of butter fraction should be given, what sort of butter oil, and then the animal, the hide, skin, horns, the distribution was defined and it was actually operated accordingly. Obviously, when the time went over, the grazing land started coming up, the population started increasing, the conversion sort of money exchange started changing, and that's how the situation was totally different over time. Now, I was thinking that this was the type of, I'm coming to relation between different species and the milk. This was the one which was traditionally indicated as a serpent which was tamed using milk. There are not many stories which I don't go into detail, but then presently also, you know the kid, goat kid, which is hungry, wants milk, is not able to see his mother, is going to cow and drinking milk. His height is not sufficient, so probably he is using the legs and the cow do not mind. So the milk actually goes beyond different species to meet the livelihood requirement. Now we have the, doesn't go actually, in desert area, this animal tries to take milk by itself. The video doesn't seem to work here actually because this moves and moves the hands, and in this area when we have contacted the village people, they indicated that our total livelihood is on cattle. So in the morning, if a cow goes for grazing, it leaves the calf to the owner, and with a feeling that if she can come back in the evening after days moving and not finding anything probably, then the people should guard the calf, and when she comes back, she gives milk as a sort of reward for guarding the calf, on which the family stays. So there has been a very strong bond between the family and the animals there. These are we have different festivals which are related to milk. For example, that one day in a year has been devoted to sort of service to animals giving milk, particularly cow and buffalo. And what on that day, actually the animals are given all food, the work is not taken from them. Milk, of course, is required to be taken out, avoiding the inconvenience of animal. But actually, this is one type. In the human being's life cycle, from birth to death, there are 16 festivals which are normally being carried out. For example, at birth, when the child borns, it is on milk for some time, but when it takes first time for food, that time it is a festival. When it goes to education, that time, then when the girl comes into menstruation, that time, when she gets pregnant, that's a time, in terms of marriage. So, our 16 occasions, there is sort of festivals which are celebrated, and each time, milk and the milk products have a necessity to the introduction as a necessity for rituals also. Then when we come to the integration of in hill area, even today, the milk from the cow is not taken out and is entirely given to calf for 1 month. You can imagine in the crossbreed, if it gives 10 liters of milk per day, 1 month means about 300 liters. And if you have €1 per liter, almost about 300 euros, they lost the owner. But whole that milk is given to calf, ensuring that the calf milk is calf is sufficiently fed and grows well. And it happens that after 1 month only, with a sort of a ritual format is done, and the milk is started consuming. As a social obligation, probably there are sort of some houses which are maintained, what we call Gokhsale, where in terms of displacing the animal come. You find some of these pictures here. So I'm sorry for the bad quality of the picture, but this is where the animals are, one day in a year they are rewarded, they are worshipped, actually they are given food. What human beings take, it is really not admirable, but actually that's what they do on that particular day. This is the snake which I was giving. One day in a year, we have a festival where snakes are cut from the field. They are given milk and recluse again. Surprisingly, there has no case of snake bite any time. So this is the gratitude for through milk from human beings to those animals. Then already in a difficult time, the people try to help cattle for drinking water, bringing them, which is a normal thing probably what we see. There are the cattle camps which we establish in terms of difficulties. Rather than leaving them aside, actually they are fed by the community, collected by the community. Now when you come to the, as is clear, the milk has no religion. It's to no class, everywhere it is normally given. As a source of livelihood, it is being used actually, and its essential integration. See, in a vegetarian diet you need animal protein, and all milk and milk products use the necessary animal protein which is needed for the human being, and that's why probably more importance has been given to the cow in the society. The consumption pattern in different regions differ, and that's very clear. You find some of the pictures, a family which has not been getting involved in terms of livelihood. You have the children which also get engaged in collecting fodder from trees actually, and these leaves are fed to the cattle. Irrespective of whether you are in forest or in a desert, the fodder and the dry fodder is transported for maintaining animals, and the dung cakes which are used as energy, stock like this actually to be available in an area where you do not have facilities for the regular facilities for energy, where this animal waste is being used for converting into feed. Now, early in the morning in a village actually, when the child gets up, he needs a milk. He uses the milk. In the milk pot like this is collected. In case of towns and cities also, people maintain cattle. They need morning tea, so that's a morning tea they will start. Now you have a sort of, imagine 30% of soy milk is processed. Otherwise it is consumed. The 15% in organized, but 22% in unorganized sector. Now when we say organized and unorganized, this goes into a sort of middleman transaction for the milk collection and the cooperative. You have about 68 different milk products which are already based on heat based, many of them, and you have the fractionation of what sort of products which normally are possible. Besides these, there are different products which are presently not recorded because they are integrated with different sort of festivals where the combination of cereals, the available material is integrated with milk and is being made available. These are actually the products which are being prepared locally and being given, local shops in the village level. You have the 68 different out of them which are being processed on the shops for supplying them into milk. The milk handling at village level, normally it's a mainly cow and buffalo milk which is being collected, hardly 1 or 2% of goat milk which is normally consumed, not being processed anywhere. There is a potential to do that. Then traditional unorganized sector, you find that nearly 46 million milk producers, households and nearly 111 million consumer households normally are using this milk. 0.144 million milk cooperatives society consisting of nearly 14.46 million farmer members with respect to 100,000 villages. That's the scope of cooperatives which we use. Interesting that these are the household processes in which probably the butter is churned out of the curd which is being used. Now it is slowly disappearing, but people who use this claim that it is much better quality of the product which they get compared to what they process by the machine. These are village cooperatives actually where the milk is collected. The milk collection actually varies from, let us say, about 10,000 liters in a day to about 1.6 million liters a day. And that is being actually chilled, processed, and then packaged, produced, processed, and then given to market. Now, what has been the policy approach for the government in the milk production? We had three phases actually. That is the independence, pre-independence phase from 1960 to 60, which actually merged with what we call Operation Flood 1. Then it was a pre-reform period 1970 to 80, where Operation Flood 2, which was floated by National Dairy Development Board, which probably tried to gather to the milk there. And the third was probably pre-post-reform period, where presently actually government is trying to sort of integrate into different policies of strengthening the milk producers as well as consumers. And the different schemes actually, when we take it, say, yes, to augment income generation and asset accounting for resource poor families, this is what is the approach by the government. One thing I need to mention that the policy is implemented at different state level. It's not a national policy which is percolated down to all states, but each state has to have its own policy for production of milk as well as processing of milk, and hence the response also differs. For example, in a state where you have a lot of promotion for cow milk, then the cow milk goes very high, while in other states when you have buffalo prices favoring for buffalo milk, the buffalo milk is produced more. It is actually two excess prices which are, it means 4% of cow milk and 7.5% fat of buffalo milk have been given the same prices, and then with addition of fat prices the milk price increases. Then resource management, implement resource management, sustainable farming system through cattle, mediated through nutrition cycle. So this is one of the policy approach we have. Improved child nutrition and cognitive development of resource poor households. The households are given different support from the policy. We have then the women taking more interest in milk industry. That's the current situation which we have. Interesting to see that initially when women started getting into the cooperative dairy, there was tremendous resistance from the male part, especially because they did not want women to be competitors with them. So there was initially a sort of slow progress. Then women tried to take a very intelligent stand. Instead of collecting milk, they tried to support their members, their own self-help group members, through nutrition. They supported them feed supplements and slowly motivated them to come to a sort of...
So you've got 4 minutes left.
Yes,
Thank you.
So they collect the milk now. There have been a lot of presently women cooperatives which have come up. Then we have rapid reduction in population of local breeds. This is one thing which is very interesting. You know, we have one breed of buffalo. Considering the milk adulteration which is seen done by at consumer level, there are breed of cattle which is taken to door of farmer, and at the door of farmer milking is given. So animal gives milk at the one door farmer, he gives 1 liter, then goes to another door, gives to 2 liters of milk. We scientifically know that we need to have prolactin which probably acts at one time, but in such a breed no, you can have it at different level. There is another politics when the calf actually gets less milk because of owner taking more milk. The cow also holds milk. And then we have seen that evening time, for example, if only one time milking is there, people try to milk 2 times. One time the calf is given to milk, animal holds up milk, and 2 hours after again they milk. And again remaining some of calf of milk is available to calf. So there has been arrangement of this type for the animal. Progressive reading and grazing lands we have actually, obviously because of the increasing population and the reduction of the forest actually we have. Then younger generation getting less interested into the farming, which is a sort of global affair which we see, and increased economic pressures accompanied with reduction in family size. This also is done. Now you see probably the women members which are promoting the cattle, the animals which this woman is selling is earning her a price of animal at 150,000 rupees. These are the breeds which are getting slowly vanished. Very nice breeds actually, but basically because of the economy, open economy and concentrating on money part, actually, the beauty of the animals which are being slowly lost. ultimately we find that for improving the approach to the health of the family, we need to have a sort of an approach where we increase the milk production, make the milk available to family. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I know you made it in time.